Join us for the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast, where we discuss matters close to the heart. This and every Saturday at 8 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on HGG Radio. I am your host, Dr. Lincoln Bryan, alongside your co-host, Pastor Clive Atkinson, Bishop Hopeton Morris, and Elder Edmund Muir. The Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. We're not just talk, we're informative. Good morning, and welcome to the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. This morning, we are live on HGG Radio. And let me apologize to you for the late start on this morning. But of course, we have yet another exciting program lineup for you. We are, of course, having one of our very, very special guests that will be joining us on this morning. So let me say big good morning to you, and thank you so much for your continuous support. And thank you for making the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast your show each morning. Thank you for waking up with us this morning. And of course, we want to say a special good morning to all our early listeners that are joining us here on HGG Radio and of course on YouTube and our social media platform. Everywhere you are joining us from this morning, we say big good morning to you. And thank you so very much for being here with us. We say good morning to you, Kathleen Anjos. Good morning, Kevin Pinnock. Thank you for waking up with us. Thank you for joining us so early this morning. Of course, these are persons that are on and waiting. Good morning, Rufus Rhythm. Good morning. I see you. Thank you so much for joining us on this morning. To my Jacqueline Brown, good morning. She said, praise Jesus to the HGG family and Dr. Bryan, tuning in from Miami, Florida. She said, it's very hot and humid, but God is good. Enjoy the heat down there in Florida, but stay cool. All right. So good morning, and good morning also to my sister down there in Florida, Sonia Bowen. Said, blessing and greetings, everyone. Grateful for another session. God blessing to you all and God children. It's good to see Elder. Amen. Pastor Devon Goldburn. Good to see you online, sir. God bless you. And you know how much I honor and respect you. We say good morning and welcome to the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast, where we discuss matters that are close to the heart. I'm your host, Dr. Lincoln Bryan, and I'm also Pastor Atkinson is here, our co-host, Pastor Clive Atkinson, Bishop Hopeton Morris, and Elder Edmund Muir. Of course, Elder Muir will be joining us a little bit later on in the program. We say good morning to you, and we thank you and welcoming you, of course, our worthy co-host, for being on the program. And this morning, today we're tackling a crucial topic, creating a generation of leaders. Yes, we are dealing with this, creating a generation of leaders. We started out with it on Father's Day, or the Saturday prior to Father's Day, and we really want to circle this topic and bring you, of course, a part two, and bring one of our very good friends of the show to join us on this part two of it. So we are talking about creating a generation of leaders, the impact of fatherhood on shaping a generation of leaders, joined by our esteemed bishop, who will be coming on later on in the show. So we want to, of course, talk about that. So fatherhood is more than just a biological role. It's a calling, it's a responsibility, it's a privilege. And today we want to explore how effective fatherhood can shape leaders, break cycles of dysfunction, and build a brighter future. So we're going to dive into this program just in a little while. But let me say, of course, let me bring my co-host in, of course, with their greetings to you. And good morning. Good morning to you, Bishop Hopeton Morris. Good morning, Pastor Clive Atkinson. How are we doing this morning?
Bless you, man. Blessing.
Awesome. Greet our listeners. Take a minute. You can go ahead.
All right. Greetings to everyone this morning in the mighty name of Jesus. We want to thank you for joining us right here on HGG Radio on the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. The Lord bless you. It's another Saturday, and we're looking forward for your comment and for your support. Just send in your comments, and if you want, I don't know, Doc, if you want to put the number out there, someone can send in a text message.
Oh, absolutely.
They want to, let me put this up.
We can run it across the screen. And of course, you can send us your WhatsApp at 825-343-7778.
That's right.
Yes. So you can send us a voice note or WhatsApp All right, or you can send your messages right there on YouTube and on Facebook. And again, if you have not already subscribed to our channel, please go and do so. Higher Ground Gospel Radio, or Higher Ground Tabernacle Ministry. You'll see it on YouTube. Or of course, I'm also here, Dr. Links. Just want to let you know, you can also listen to us at hggradio.ca. You can download our Higher Ground Gospel Radio app. Download it on your phone and listen to 24/7 gospel radio. All our programs that are on the radio, you can also get it there on the application. So I just want to put that there. Bishop Upton Morris, good morning,
Amen.
sir.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Good to be here this morning with you. It's a rainy day in Montreal, but hey, I love the rain. There's a calm and peace that comes with the rain. And let me just greet everyone this morning in the wonderful name of Jesus. Um, Wonderful topic this morning. Looking forward to dive down into this subject. And as I always say, just remember just to like and to share as we get ready to discuss this powerful subject. Call a young man, call a man, call somebody, right? Let them hear what we have to say, and they can also participate in this discussion. God bless you in Jesus' name.
Amen. You're right, Bishop. That's what we need. Them to share, of course, with their sons, with their nephew, with their friend, with their family, with their co-worker. Send it to them and said, listen, come on this show where they're talking about men empowerment and empowering men and empowering leaders. So come on in and listen to it. So of course we want to do that, and that's what we're here for. We want to empower men. We want to empower the next generation of leaders. We're all about that and about empowering and thriving, because we believe every man need a mentor that they can stand with, that can really guide them and that can show them the way. So of course we're going to get started. Of course our special guest will be joining us just in a little while, just having some technical challenges there, but he'll be tuning in shortly. So today, Bishop, we want to explore how effective fatherhood can shape leaders, break cycles and dysfunction, and build a brighter future. And so let's dive into this empowering conversation this morning as we go in, Bishop. And let me start with you, since Pastor Clive, we deal with in the part one, so we want to bring you in fresh perspective as we will also dive in a little deeper. Bishop, I want to find out from you here, what qualities or values, Bishop, do you think fathers should instill in their children? What quality, what value you think that us as fathers, should instill in our children to prepare them for leadership roles?
Thank you for that wonderful question, sir. Just before I get into that, I just want to make mention that children live what they learn,
Yes.
right? There was a little kid just learning to walk, just learning to talk, and he lived with his parents. And I think his father was a surgeon, his mother was a lawyer, and he was on the second floor, wanted to come downstairs, and he looked at the stairs, and he said, I think it's going to be extremely difficult to negotiate these stairs this morning, right? And everybody look at him because nobody's expecting a little just before he reached two, those language to come out of his mouth. But it's because of the language that was used around him, right?
Mhm.
Right. And so, therefore, sometimes we think kids are not listening, they are listening to you, right? So, be careful what you say. And more importantly, be careful what you do among your kids, right? Because like kids see their father as a Superman that it's like he can't do anything wrong. He is strong. Remember, a father, right, or a man figure in the house is the first definition of a man, right, that a child actually see, right? So you defined what manhood is to that child, right? And so it's important then that we make sure that we we instill values not in our children necessarily, in ourselves, right? and then you portray these values, and then the children will see those values. So values of honesty, values of hard work, values of respect, the way you talk to your kid, the way you talk to his mother, and if there's any other kids around, those are important, right? Do you pray, right? Do you talk about God, right? Right, so all of those values are extremely important, right? For when the child see those, right, then these are what the child will adopt. And it is true, mothers always said, boy, you're just like your father.
Mhm,
Right?
mhm.
You're just like your
Mm.
father, right? And so therefore they see some stuff, right, in them, indicates that it's just like their father. And sometimes not necessarily the father actually teach them, right? But it's called their seed. And yes, it's important also that there are some values that you can portray, that you need to sit down and talk to your child about, right? Talk to them, have a good discussion, concerning honesty, concerning who you are, what you represent, who you represent, and so on, right? Those are good values to talk to your kids about. God bless you. So I rest it there for now.
Thank you so much, Bishop. Thank you so much. Let me welcome Elder Edmund Muir, who is also joining us. Good morning, Elder Muir. I'll give you an opportunity, of course, to greet the masses, and then we'll dive in.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm not much of a swimmer, but good morning to you, Dr. Bryan, to you,
Good
Bishop,
morning,
Pastor
sir.
Clive, and all our wonderful listeners out there
Amen.
in Radio Land. Thank you for joining HGG Radio. Again, another topic that is of great interest to us as individuals and to the generation that is coming. And I do endorse every word spoken by our bishop just now. And it's something that we have to look into, because we have to pattern what we want our children to do. And if we are poor leaders, then we will be creating a generation of poor leaders. And they truly watch us, Bishop. They watch to see how you react. I like the story you shared. They watch everything that we do. And so if we're doing bad, then they will eventually do bad, because that's what they know. Of course, there are few persons that will actually come out of that, but creating leaders is not, sometimes it's not even uh, easy for us to do, because uh, the little things we do that are wrong, that may be the one thing the child takes at the time. So we have to be so careful in what we do. And I do believe that if we promote education in the sense that you teach the child to read and to get in the minds of others, and that child will understand what it is to truly stand out. So we have to teach them communication. We have to teach them um, assimilation of information, allowing them to understand that education is important, self improvement is important, and of course, model that life that we would want to see them emulating. If we don't, we're going to run in serious problems, especially now with a generation that they ask a lot of questions. I thought my generation asked questions, doctor, but what I realized with these kids,
Yes.
everything, why, and so many questions pouring out of them. So we have to be very careful in how we approach their development as leaders for the
As
next
leaders.
generation. Thank you much.
Indeed, stay right there with me. Don't go far. Let me say a special good morning and a happy birthday to presiding Bishop of the Bethel organization in Jamaica, Bishop Devon Charles Brown. We say happy birthday to you, Bishop. We are sending much love from here on the HGG family. Of course, we thank you so much, always tuning in and supporting this podcast. So we say good morning to you, Bishop Brown. Elder Muir, I'm coming back to you because I want to ask you, how can fathers then balance nurturing and discipline and raise confident and capable leaders? So how can they strike a balance between nurturing and discipline?
Very, very good question. Very important question as well, because it's not easy to do at times. But what I realize, when you discipline, there has to be communication within the discipline. You have to get back to the place to say to that child, hey, this is the reason why. If you have done that, we would have had a different result. Allowing the child or the children to see where they went wrong. Sometimes it's asking them questions. And never forget that showing love is extremely important, because many persons, many young people, when they are disciplined, I'm not talking necessarily about that slap that we know about from the Caribbean. But when you take away things from them, whatever form of discipline that you use, you recognize that they go into a mode of feeling that you don't like them and you don't appreciate them for who they are. Now it's up to you now to bring that form of reinforcement, so that child knows that, hey, I have to do this, but never forget that I love you. You show them love in different ways. You embrace them, you hug them, you be there, you play with them, because some parents don't play at all or go anywhere. And these are the little things that if we pin them and pin it right, then our children will definitely understand that, hey, and one thing too, I must encourage parents, leaders, never ever do anything out of anger. When you're upset, it's best to just let it simmer. Some people say, what, we don't eat rice when it's hot. Don't eat the rice when it's hot. Let it cool a little, and then your thoughts will come together, and then you will have the right approach to the things that you do. Thank you much.
Thank you so much, Elamure. Bishop, I'm coming back to you with these questions because these are burning questions that persons want to know. And of course, we are, us who serve in leadership capacities, I believe that we can really, really, help this generation and really help folks in leadership. But Bishop, I have to ask you, as a bishop, that serve, of course, as senior pastor and overseer of other churches. Bishop, what inspired you to focus on creating a generation of leaders, and why is it crucial to our future? As a man in a leadership role currently, and have persons who serve under you in capacities of pastors and elders and other leaders, what inspired you in the first place to focus on creating generation of leader, building up leaders, pulling up persons up? Because of course, we call them up. So what inspired you to focus on creating a generation of leader, and why is it crucial to our future?
Okay, thank you for another wonderful question. Um, um, if you look at, for I answer the question directly, if you look at a sport team, or look at a dynasty team, right? A team that kept on winning and winning. They always have to make sure that they keep on developing young people if they wanted to keep on winning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right? If they keep the same set of players, after a while they will not be able to perform at the same level year after year, right? Age happen, right? Injury happen, things happen, right? And they will lose their edge. And so, therefore, even within the church, with our family, right? If we do not develop young people, right, and develop young people, it means then that we will leave a church with me at 90 years old, still pastoring, right? Can hardly make it up to the podium, holding the mic with my hand shaking, right? And and then the vision would die, right? Remember the scripture said in Acts chapter 2, your whole man shall see dreams. The young men are the one who will see visions. Okay, right? And so therefore, now that we're young, we have to make sure that we develop them. And that's why reason why I developed, because of a vision to see the church rise to another level, right? To take it to more than I can take it, right? Because young people have different ways of doing things, right? They see things differently. And so therefore, I don't have a choice but to develop them, because I will not be here all the time. Maybe I can preach now to some I maybe can, but I will not be able to preach at this level and the same way I do years from now, right? And so therefore I need to develop. There's a burden in my heart to develop people, right? So that they can reach their generation, because young people attract young people. Okay, right? And if I fail to develop young people, we're gonna have a church that is stagnant, right? A church that doesn't know where it's going, right? Our leaders who doesn't know where they're going, what the church is all about, and so on. And so it is vital, right, that I develop them. If I wanted the church to continue, if I wanted to see the power of God move, if I wanted to see the church move to another level, right? If I don't develop them, right, then they will not go. They will the church going to be say stagnant. No. I have to do it, and I cannot be like, boy, um feeling, I'm insecure in any way, right? That boy, you know what? If I develop them too much, they're gonna be better than me. Great, right? I wanted them to be better than me. I want to develop people where they can teach better than me, they can preach better than me, they can organize better than me, right? Where they become specialists, right? If you notice in a job, right? If you give the managing director or even the founder, right, in a large corporation, if you give him the job of the accountant, the company mash up, right? And so in a large organization, you have people who are specialists in their field, and they all work together to make the organization better. And so I really believe that even within the church, right, that we need to develop people who are specialists in their area, without the leader being jealous. If a young man can teach better than you, let him teach. If he can preach better than you, let him preach, right? If he's good at organizing, let him organize. Give it to him to do. Your job become lighter. Remember, no, one shall chase 1,000, and two shall put 10,000 to fly, right? And I think years ago when you preached, maybe the first time for us, Dr. Bryan, you mentioned something that was important concerning concerning David and Saul, because you said that, and I never forget it. If Saul can kill is 1,000 and David is 10,000, Saul should not be jealous, but he should have joined together with David, and both of them would have killed 11,000 people, right? Enemy, right? So therefore, so that's where it's come from. A passion to be better, a passion for the church to grow, a passion for it to take it more than where I can take it, right? That's where it's coming from. That's the reason why I have to make sure that I develop leaders in the church.
Oh my God, Bishop, this is powerful. I feel like we have to say Sila right here. Right here is where we say Sila, and then we continue. Let me welcome to the conversation. Let me welcome to the conversation our very special guest, of course, our esteemed bishop, a spiritual leader, father, and author. And he need to plug those books that he has. The senior pastor of Global Apostolic Church. He's a friend of the show. Y'all love him on here. And of course, I want you to make welcome to Bishop Alan Todd. Welcome, Bishop.
Hey, Rev, how are you, man? Hey, gentlemen.
Morning.
Wow, I got a crowd.
Welcome to the
Blessings, everyone. Good to
conversation,
see you,
Bishop.
gentlemen.
Good to see
Awesome,
you.
man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It's exciting.
absolutely. Absolutely. We love having you on the show. We absolutely love it. The listeners love it. They're wondering where is Bishop Alan Todd? Bring him back. And so you have
Oh
asked,
man.
and he's here,
Oh
of course.
man.
So we welcome you to the show, Bishop. And of course, Bishop, I want you to stay right on the topic where Bishop Hopeton Morris was just. We're going to bring that question back to you. I just want to bring Pastor Clive in to chime in on it, and we're coming right to you on it, Bishop. So stay right there. Pastor Clive, you wanted
All
to
right,
add
bless
to it?
you, bless you, bless you.
Yes.
I was listening to Bishop South African Bishop Upton Morris and what he was talking about. I think oftentimes persons are afraid of letting go, and because of afraid of letting go, they miss the point, or they miss the what it's all about. We are not here to stay forever. In order for you to receive, you have to give to receive. You have to let go so things can come to you. I was watching a documentary on just wildlife and how some of the behaviors with human. And the monkey, they use a monkey as an example, and the gentleman put some salt in a hole, and the monkey is so curious that he shoved his hand into the hole, grab onto the salt, and he could not. Once he made that fist, he could not get his hand out, but he wouldn't let go of the salt that is in his hand for him to be released. And it taught me something, that there are times we are holding on to things, and really and truly we can't go no further than just right there. And the monkey bishop, he got caught because he did not want to let go. There are times that we have to learn how to build and let go,
Mm,
train and let go, so that persons can step in, and then you can watch it grow on a sideline, so that people can, and that's what make a great leader, because now you're watching the person that's in training, and not feeling inferior. You're not feeling, because Bishop, you'd have said it, I want him to be better than me. I want him to be the best person. And that's, you pull out everything out of you to give to them. So I just wanted to kind of plug that in there to kind of top off on what Bishop was saying, that,
yes.
it is necessary for us to be able to build people and see them take the very thing that you couldn't carry, because one shall chase 1,000, back again to what you were saying, and two put 10,000 flight. What I can do with just 1,000, two of us together can do greater.
Powerful. Thank you so much for that great analogy, Pastor Clive. Thank you so much, Bishop. The question was asked, and we're coming to you on it. What inspired you, Bishop, as a bishop, overseer in your organization, in your ministry, leader, pastor? Bishop, what inspired you to focus on creating a generation of leaders? And why is it crucial for our future? So, what inspired you to create a generation of leaders? As you continue to grow and develop men and women around you in your organization, in your circle, in your space, your children, your church, what inspired you to create a generation of leaders? And why is it crucial? Why is it crucial to our future? Bishop Todd.
Oh, that's me. I thought you were talking to Pastor Holton.
He answered it. He was on it. So we'll take your take on it too.
Sorry, man. Repeat that part, because
No
I
problem.
was.
What inspired you to focus on creating a generation of leaders, and why is it crucial for our future?
Well, okay, great. Thank you. And I was listening so intently to Bishop Holton, and I think his points were so relevant. And I think also for me, and so one of the viewers made mention of this, and I'll get to the point about what inspired me. But I think first of all, in the generation that we're in, and this saddens me to a certain degree, is that we have more broken leaders than we do whole leaders that are healthy and whole, particularly in our part of the vineyard. So we have a tremendous amount of insecurity, and you know what? Insecurities breed insecurity. So
Mm,
insecure leaders insecure fathers will breed insecure sons,
Oh, wow.
and so forth, unless those sons are able to sort of break away. And here's the thing, is that we all need fathers in our lives, either biological or other non-biological, in terms of mentors or whatever.
Mhm.
And so, you know, unfortunately, what we see a lot in our fellowships and in our movements are like what, and I said, Pastor Clive said it too, and
Mhm.
it's really refreshing hearing these men of God that are pastoring churches saying, "I'm not going to be here forever." Right? So there needs to be what I call the continuity of the gospel, that what we see in the scriptures is most of the men. One of the greatest pictures we see of this is Jacob. Jacob knows he's going to die. He calls his sons in and puts his hands on them and blesses them and says, "I'm going to tell you what's going to become of you." Right? And then
Mm.
when he's finished that, he puts up his feet and gives up the ghost. He dies because he knows he's not going to be here. But
Yes.
he doesn't keep the blessing in him and die with it, right? And so I think what inspires me is one thing, like the gentlemen have already said, that we have an expiry date. We have a we have we even have a we have a there's a business concept called inspiration has a shelf life, that
Yes.
we all have a moment and a season where we can inspire, like we can move people to want to follow us and want to do something great for God. And we might still be alive, and that inspiration is fading away. We're no longer inspiring anybody. So what inspires me particularly is, number one, to know that I've got a number of my days, that we have a limitation, and there's an over consuming element in my mind, is that I've got to do the best that I can with the time that's given to me. That's in fathering, in husbanding, in pastoring, in preaching, anything that I'm doing. There's a sense that for the time that I'm given, I've got to make the best of that time, because the gospel was here before I got here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be here when I'm gone. I just want to do what, Martin Luther King says, I just want to do God's will, right? You want to do what you can do in this season. So for me, the inspiration is knowing that at the end of the day, you want to hear well done. And a part of that, vantage point, my biblical vantage point is, I see all of the fathers. Abraham passes it to Isaac. Isaac lives it and passes it to Jacob. Jacob passes it to his sons. Even Jesus says, listen, greater works than these shall you do. Paul says to Timothy, appoint men who are faithful, who will also appoint other men. Like, our
Mm-hmm.
biblical track record is filled with men saying, I'm limited.
Yes.
I'm limited. Somebody's going to come after me. I want my kids, my sons, to understand that they're going to come after me, and everything I've got to do is to build them up so that they can be the best that they can be, to run their race. Because the reality is I was saying the other day, I was in Miami, is that our fathers have never had to deal with AI,
Mm-hmm.
right? They
Yes,
they've
sir.
never had to they've never had to deal with the technological advancements that the world that we're in. And we got some young people that are coming up. They're going to have to figure out the ethics, the technology, the implementation of all of this new technology and the impact it has on the world. So, like Bishop Holton was saying, man, if there's people in our churches, in our families, who can do something better than we are, why in the world would, well, I know why, and it's just pride and insecurity,
Mm-hmm.
but why would we use these things to block the purposes of God? So, what inspires me, bro, is to know that time is short. We have a call and a responsibility to make an impact in the world. And like Bishop Holton said, or one of you said it, that you know Saul didn't get it. He was
Mm-hmm.
full with pride, and because they sang a song to David, he was full of pride, and pride His pride was bigger than the overall mission of Israel.
Hmm. Yeah, powerful. Bishop, it lends me to, I was wondering, and this is to all those on the panel. I think it was yesterday, I was just thinking to myself as I'm, preparing and to do this. And I was wondering that because what we're seeing now in the church, and we have to call it a thing as we're calling it out and we're calling leaders to come up, is that it almost paint a picture that if you have a group of 50 men and maybe 50 women that are in it, it's almost like we cannot see those with leadership quality and say these 10, these 15 have great quality to serve in whatever capacity. Maybe not just titled ministers, but different administration and the different gifts that we see in the body, the gifts of help and administration and all this stuff. Why is it, to me, I
Yeah.
think there's a challenge of we growing everybody up together in terms of I am able to tap into what Bishop Todd can do, and I'm able to pour into that gift to enhance it, and at the same time I'm still able to tap into what Bishop Hopton can do and tap into this and grow it. It's seemingly to me that what we're doing, and I'm seeing it a lot in Canada, and I think one of the reasons I get myself in trouble is because I'm too vocal to call a thing, is that instead of we grow everybody up together, we point on one or two and we kill everybody else, because this is the two that I want. This is the one that I want. This is the two that I want. And it's like we kill everybody else. Now we shut them out, we push them back. And my question then, when we do that, what is the expectation? Do we want them to backslide? When we push them out of the church, now where do they go? When we push them out, what is the expectation here? Is that they fall back? Because I've been told here in Canada that my voice is too loud and I need to cool my voice where I was presently was. Another bishop told me at my church, you go there and see other leaders and they have precedence over you because you go there and see them. And this is not even somebody, that is not even my pastor telling me. This is another trusted friend and bishop of the pastor who told me you need to hold several seats, lay back, because apparently I am too much. And so I find myself have to be tiptoeing so that people can feel better about themselves and dummy down who I truly am until I find that I'm losing me because I'm not being authentic to who I am in the name of making other people feel better around me. So how do you manage this? But at the same time, you still stay humble. You still do what you have to do. You still don't disrespect and anything. But you find that you have to dumb it down because you are not who they see. You are not who they want to move into that realm or to pour into. And so the issue that I find, because I'm coming back, because I'm sure I'm not in the only position, and I want you as leaders to pour into people who are in this position. I have never been. I've been in church. I've been saved for 26, going 27 years. Backslide for about 3, 4, and can't come back. I've never been in a church except for my first minister, Elder Walters, years ago in Jamaica, that had really given me the first mic and said, God call you to preach, preach. And I've served in Antigua. I've served in Canada. I've been here for the last 10 years. And outside of them, I've never been in a church where my pastors ever seen my ability and said, I want to pour into that. But it's always the people love you. You're gifted. You know. So it's almost from an intimidated point until eventually small things become an issue. And it's nagat. Small things become an issue. And you're being told, lean back. How do you talk to a person who have been in that? Because I'm mature enough to know how to still walk and how to be and do what I gotta do. How do you talk to a person? And I'm gonna go to the bishops. How do you talk to somebody who have gone through just a bit of what I've been dealing with and I've dealt with? How do you do this when persons who are supposed to be fathers are being suppressors? How do you continue? Bishop Todd, I'm coming to you. Bishop Hopton Morris, I'm coming to you. I've never put me out. I've been doing this show since January. I've never put me out there. But I'm sure there are persons in this position, and I
Can I
want to
just say
know.
one thing?
Pastor
That
Clive, yes, sir.
sticky one.
Yes. How do you tell somebody?
It's a
Talk to
sticky
a brother.
one.
Bishop, talk to a brother, talk to a sister, because you know on the Iron Man Empowerment Show, we talk real.
And
What do you say?
before you answer, I think that a lot of it's not just you alone, Dr. Bryan. There's a lot of persons out
Absolutely.
there
That's why
who
I
are going
want.
through it,
Yeah, I'm
and
good. You know,
this
I just
this
want persons out there who may not be in this level of maturity. How do they continue? What do we say to them?
yeah, it's a very sticky one. And before Alan, Dr. Bishop Todd, jump in on this, is that you have persons out there who love the Lord and want to really serve God, and then facing with all of this and did not come to the maturity, and then find themselves into sin because of where they have been suppressed to become. And then they live in a double standard life, because you know what, here I am working hard to become what God really called me to be, but here I am being suppressed and being killed and being strangled, and the spirit of Python is wrapped around their neck and they
Mm.
can't breathe. And the more they're trying to breathe,
I,
every time they take the air, the Python just tighten up and said, I'm
mm-hmm,
trying to humble you. And they're trying to, and then a person may see them go from church to church to church to church, and not realizing. That's one point. Two is that I would love to say to somebody is, as you just said, Doc, is that you're trying to pull back and trying to not be in yourself. Sometime, less is more. When I say less is more, sometimes you just hone your space and just be you, and allow the chip to fall where they may, without being loud. Just being you, and allow God just to. And we're probably talking to somebody, because you wouldn't bring this up unless God really wants somebody to be helped.
mm-hmm,
And I have learned, because I would have probably gone through some of this stuff like you're talking of, that you have been through, but I have learned to become humble but still be me.
mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? Without losing me. And there are times I think that I was losing my mind, but really and truly, God really, come and says, listen, you're not losing your mind, just love on me.
mm.
Go ahead, Sir Todd, Bishop.
Powerful, Sir Todd. We'll do circle, Elder Muir. We get your point together. We're circling as leaders. Yes, Bishop.
This it's a very important. I don't even. It's a sticky one, but we need to deal with it.
Mm-hmm,
One is, I think there's a couple of issues. One is the the toxic ideas that we have within our religious concept, like within the church. There's a really messy and unscriptural and unhealthy way we think about our religious environment. We feel that so many people are walking under this feeling of condemnation and guilt, because if they do something, it's against God. And I think we got to be really careful about that kind of idea to deal with. So that's number one, is the religious context creates a unique set of problems because of how people perceive what they believe is of God and what they
mm-hmm,
believe is not of God. And that's a very manipulative and sticky situation. Some people can't feel like they can speak, because if they speak, they're speaking against God. When in
mm-hmm,
reality, they're not speaking against God. They're speaking against dysfunctional systems set up by men,
mm-hmm,
right? Under the banner of God. So we got to sort of walk through that and dismantle some of that. So what I would say to a situation like that, I think two conversations need to be had. Number one, individuals have to be in tune with the eternal God. They need to know God. You need to have an intimacy with God, a personal relationship with God. David is my monarch, is my mantra here. Like, David knew the Lord. Here's the sticky part. You have to have conversations with the leadership. David tried to have conversations with Saul, but
mm-hmm,
Saul was throwing javelins trying to kill him. And what did David do? David had to separate himself from that
mm-hmm,
environment for the sake of saving his life. So there was a season in David's life where he was He was abandoned. He was left out. He was out there just trying to find a place.
That's right.
And this is where God was working with him through the whole situation, throughout the whole situation, until alignment came, until where he was supposed to be was established. And so, Dr. Lincoln, I think those two conversations need to be had. We need to approach our leadership. When if you're in a situation where a leader is holding you back, people need to have the security, the strength, the confidence to have conversations with their leaders, and be able to communicate their feelings, their thoughts, all those type of things. And if the leader, if after a persistent amount of time, that leader is not being truthful, open, honest, that person might need to find another place of worship. They
Mm-hmm.
need to seek the Lord and say, you know what? This is not this is not in alignment with what God is doing in my life. Not because I don't love God or love the church. I need to find an environment where it's healthy, where I can be esteemed and I can esteem,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, but in the church, so many people feel stuck in toxic systems,
Yeah.
right? Because leaders are insecure, fearful, out of the will of God. Some leaders are out of the will of God. And we don't have to go far for this. It's in the Bible. Saul
Mm-hmm.
was out of the will of God, but he
Yeah.
maintained leadership.
For
Yeah.
30 years.
So we have precedent in the Bible and we see how it unfolds. Usually it doesn't unfold too good for the leader either,
Right.
right? We have it when people who have positions speak against leadership, like Korah and Abiram. They spoke against Moses. Moses was
Mm-hmm.
wrong in
Mm-hmm.
his execution, but so we have to
Right.
manage this. We got to manage these type of things. So there's no real easy answer to this, but
Right.
I think what's really important is proper conversations. People need to feel, without being disrespectful, that they can have conversations with their leaders and share with them their feeling of neglect, things of that nature. Um,
Thank you so much, Rev. So we take it. Thank you, Bishop. I hope I didn't cut you off. You're
no,
good,
no, no, no,
Bishop.
no, no,
Yeah.
no.
So we are seeing then dysfunction that is happening. So it's a lot of dysfunction. We'll say, it can be toxic. We are seeing the toxicity, that are taking place, and I think these are some of the things that need to be addressed. And when you address some of these things, you're being labeled. You're being labeled as rude. You're being labeled as difficult. What
Rebellious.
we are rebellious. What we're seeing happening also in our church is we're seeing an old boy system where a group of older, and when I said old boy, I don't want to be disrespectful by any means necessary. But when we use the term old boy club, it's a clique, it's an entourage, it's an alliance of older leaders, and they come together. They and it's a circle that they have. And if you're outside of the circle, then you're outside, you're not joined. And we here within our stuff, we're about us and who we want to bring in and who we want to keep and who we want to tear down. I've been told I'm new to Canada. I'm preaching too much around. I'm preaching in churches there not being I'm not being asked whether or not I should go. I'm not asking about history and who did what prior. So all of these things to maneuver, all of these things. I'm at a point where persons are calling, asking about me, and I'm being bashed. I'm telling person leaders are reaching out that I'm calling other leaders for, and these are what I'm being told. So in other words, stop his ministry, block him because I didn't get the opportunity to release him. I didn't ask permission of leaders in the space to be released. I thought God brought me here. So all of these things happen, and I'm sure it's not just me. And I've been dealing with these for years, and I've never ever, especially in a public space like this, mentioned. But I've smiled, I've picked up myself, I've stayed in consecration and keep moving. No, it's not about me. Bishop Morris, how do we encourage a brother that may not have the faith that I have, the determination, the wit, because I know who called me and I know whose hands is on me and I know who's answering my prayers? How do we tell a brother or sister to keep putting one foot before the other and move on? Bishop Morris, How do we? Because we want to talk really now, because we are talking about developing leaders and true champion. How do we tell them to move on? How do we tell them they can keep going? Encourage them, Bishop.
All right, thank you, sir. Good question again. Um,
I promise I'm going to make it lighter after this. I feel I'm putting too much weight on my panelists.
there-
No, no,
there's
it's good.
Yes.
there's two sides to this. Um, because sometimes somebody with gifts, with talents, who are very smart, you can see leadership in them, um, does not know how to manage that in a congregation,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so if they don't know how to manage it, um, they definitely will have issue sometimes with the leadership um, of that particular group. The Bible said that you are to know them which labor among you, right? And so, therefore, you one can be smart. If I give you an example, I talk about know them. I grew up in a church back home when I got saved for years. I did not see the bishop appoint anybody. He have men who have been to Bible college. He have men who know the scripture. People come just to Sunday school just to hear them because how deep they were. They were much deeper than him, right? In terms of their knowledge and the way they can break down the scripture and so on, right? And I noticed he did not appoint anybody, and been there for a while, and I found out that before I comes in, there was a great breakaway of great men because he had promoted some powerful men, some great preachers, and so on, and they left and break out the church and so on. And so he was in a hurt position, and so
Insecure.
therefore he didn't know who to trust. And so here we have these wonderful men who have come up, grown up now, and I know the word. And so, do I promote them or do I wait? And he takes the waiting approach. But those brothers just kept on doing what they're doing and stay and so on. Later on, a few years after, he go Belisket and just promote and just promote, right? And so therefore, as I said, that you have to learn how to manage that. Know your leader. Maybe they're coming from a hurting standpoint. Maybe there was somebody just like you there before, and
Mhm.
they trust them and they break their heart, break their ministry, and so on, right? So therefore, this how one should manage those gifts and talents, right? Sometimes you might have all those brilliant ideas and so on. Talk, um always, talk to your pastor. Then said, pastor so and so, I think we should do it this way, that way. I know you have been doing it this way before, but here is my point, so and so and so and so. You might say, well, I talk about it, member meeting is a members meeting, but sometimes when you talk that in public, it looks like it is not. Okay, we're talking straight here, right? It
Yes,
looks
yes.
like a rebellion, right? And other people who are not mature enough picked up on that and said, boy, this man think that we are here a long time and we don't know what we are doing, and he coming up and so on. So there are some stuff that you have to talk to, draw your pastor or your bishop and talk to them by the side, right?
Right,
Alone,
absolutely. And
right?
in
Right?
private and in meetings.
Alone, right?
Yes.
Not in a crowd. Also, not have a group to yourself, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes the group yourself, talking to them and say, boy, this should be done, that should be done, that
Mhm.
should be done, and so on.
Totally agree.
And so on, because it always go back to the pastor somehow and
Yeah,
somewhere. So there
totally agree. That
always
can create
somebody
chaos.
there who will carry it back, right? Another point is that some pastors not certain if what they see in this person is it the spirit of Absalom, right?
Mm.
Or is it just genuine love for the ministry, right? And so sometimes they just have to just take a wait and see attitude, right? So therefore, but if you have managed it well, if you have had those discussion, if you have talked to the person, your leader, if you have showed them your heart, right, and so on, and nothing changed, they still try to hold you back. They still try to control the gifting that is in you and so on. Sometimes there is nothing that you can do, because when somebody is insecure, sometimes they're just insecure. And so therefore, if there's nothing you can do, then you got to find somewhere else to go where you're appreciated, right? And where ministry actually can grow, right? And where other people other leaders will look at you and encourage your ministry,
Yes.
and try to push you up more than put you down. You know, one of the greatest leader in the Bible that we don't talk much about as a leader is Elijah, because Elijah led Elisha so well that when he tell him to steer, Elijah said, "I will not leave you."
Mm-hmm.
Right, right. I think that was the best. I know we always said Moses, but I think Elijah was so successful in leadership, and so he was only able to lead one man, because all the other sons of prophets stay where they are, right? But one of them said, "No, I'm leaving you. I am not leaving."
Yes.
And he
Yes.
finally asked him what you want. And he basically said, "You lead so good, so powerful, man. I want a double portion of what you have."
Mm-hmm.
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 Right? I want what
Powerful.
you have. He led so powerfully, right? And so therefore, there's leaders listening. You are successful in ministry, in leading men, if you can lead them to a point where they said, "I will never leave you." Naomi was so powerful that when that Ruth said, "Man, I will not leave you." She said, "I don't have no more baby in my stomach." She said, "No, I will not leave you." Powerful
Hey, Bosh.
um, leadership there, right? But
Yes.
Saul failed. That he failed. He recognized the leading that was in the leadership that was in David, right? And as a result of that, he you know he did what he did to David. And finally, sometimes God have you where you are as a teaching experience, as a
Yes, sir.
teaching
Learning
experience,
experience. Yes.
right? Because you got to learn how to minister to people who's throwing javelin at you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And later on, after all of that experience, God testified of David, said there's never a king like David, and there was only one king. But he also said that there shall never ever be one like him. But there's no other king that have been through what he have
But
been through. So sometimes when God is getting ready to use you, God will put you among people and leaders who are insecure, right? Who are jealous and so on, right? Not for you to adapt their way, but for you to learn from them and learn how to minister to those type of people. Because you, when you go out there, you are going to have people like those in your ministry, and you need to learn how to minister to them. And so later on, when David take the kingdom and they said, "Let's kill," David said, "No, no man gonna die today
Mm-hmm.
because of what he
Thank
have."
you so much.
God bless
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you so much, Bishop. We have a question in the chat that we're going to come back to with, and I'll give it to Elamure. And after which we're going to change gear and we're going to dive in some other leadership question. So we're going to take a quick break. We ask that you stay right here with us on HGG Radio's Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. Keep it locked and loaded. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to amplify your message and reach hearts with purpose? Introducing HGG Advertising, your partner in spreading the gospel and connecting with the Christian community.
Churches, Christian-based businesses, listen up.
With HGG Advertising, you can reach your audience through powerful radio campaigns.
Engage hearts, inspire minds, and grow your community with HGG Radio, which is already reaching 136 countries worldwide.
We specialize in promoting Christian values and helping businesses aligned with faith-based principles.
Whether it's a church event or your business rooted in Christian values, HGG Advertising is here for you.
Connect with us and let's share your message with purpose.
HGG Advertising, spreading the gospel, connecting communities. Email us today at ads@hggradio.ca. That's ads@hggradio.ca. Or call us today at 825-343-4486.
HGG Radio.
Are you ready to amplify your message and reach hearts with purpose?
Introducing HGG Advertising
Radio.
Calling all believers, are you continuing steadfastly in the Apostles' Doctrine? Join us right here on HGG Radio, Mondays to Fridays from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. MST and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. EST for a new and exciting Bible discussion program, The Apostles' Doctrine. Come and hear the word being rightly divided by dynamic preachers and teachers. It's The Apostles' Doctrine, hosted by Minister Tyrone Reed, weekdays from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. MST. Come to the fellowship, stay for cerebral conversations and all things scriptural.
Saffron Caribbean Delight, your one-stop Caribbean cuisine restaurant with their tasty oxtail, curry chicken, jerk chicken, and stew beef. Not to mention their weekend specials, fried fish and soup. Come out and get a taste of the Caribbean. Located at 8155 112 Avenue or call to order at 780-474-9005. Opening hours from Tuesdays to Thursday from 1 to 7 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 1 to 8 p.m. Saffron Caribbean Delight. It's not about the quantity, but the quality.
HGG Radio. HGG Radio.
Thank you for staying with us here on the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. We are talking about creating a generation of leaders, and of course, our very special guest, Bishop Alan Todd, is joining us here at the table for this conversation. Elder Muir, I'm coming to you, sir, with a question that's in the chat, after which we'll be changing some gears and, of course, go on in some more questions. I know the chat is heating up, and there are persons who are sending their questions and would like their questions to be answered. But Devon Goldburn, Elder Goldburn asked a question, Rev, to Elder Muir, and he said, my question based on that statement is why is it that gifted folks, men and women, are stuck in a proverbial backbench in our churches for years? And it continued to say, even though they're gifted, even though other pastors are inviting them, why are they stuck in our backbenches? Elder Muir.
Question there. And of course, very, very good responses from the bishops. I'd rather sit here all day and listen to the men of God, speak. However, I must say that many times we're focused on our experiences rather than the leading of the Holy Spirit. And people argue based on their perspective, and that comes through their experience. So they have experiential conversations one with the other, and they view things based on what they have gone through. I believe it was Bishop Morris that spoke about hurt pastors or hurt leaders. What happens with them? That they will basically do things based on their experience. Now, as an individual usually views things on the perspective of being hurt, and therefore they see things from their own insight and fail to see things on a holistic level. And many times we find that leaders of old, being careful with that, leaders of old, they act based on what has happened. And Bishop Morris said it. the experience with his bishop, there was some splitting before they came in, and so the bishop became, I would not say became more cautious as to how he invests in others. So he invests and leave them for a while to continue to develop. And sometimes when you look at it from the perspective of the question that is being asked, them being put at the back bench, they might want to feel as if they are being pushed to the back bench at times. Some cases it is true, but in other cases, this is the man of God exercising wisdom in taking time to discern what spirit is in this individual or these individuals. However, because the individual doesn't understand the leader and knows what the leader is doing, they feel belittled or pushed aside or ostracized for that matter. And it causes them now in their capacity as budding leaders to become bitter and develop something about them which is not supposed to be. I'm not saying this is the case for all, because we have seen it and we know that leaders have held what we would call hard end because of things that they might not want to explain to us or might not want to say, but they have taken certain stance in their minds. The stance are taken in order to enhance the gospel and build the kingdom of God. But in the same breath, what they're doing, because of their experience now, they have lost track of the move of the Spirit of God. So when we have individuals coming up who are gifted, anointed, and they see these persons coming up, sometimes they push them aside to say, wait on your turn. Push them aside at times, not because they don't see that gift. It's because they feel sometimes that they're coming to take over and they don't want to listen. They don't want to be humble and be led.
Can I say something, Elder?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
You have to look at the two sides of the coin, because sometimes you'll have person, not everybody, that you come with a strong zeal. You have a good intention, your zeal, and as a pastor, being in the position where I'm in, you have to look at zeal without knowledge and try to build. But you want to do it, but sometimes you're not doing it where you say, hey, this is what is happening. You're really kind of doing it without talking to the individual. I believe in talking to an individual and says, listen, I love your zeal, but you got to taper down some things. And if you don't have those conversations, if the person is not open for these conversations, then as a pastor, it's hard for you to even have the conversation. So you have to be able to look at it from two sides of the coin, because here comes, I have a young man that comes, but he has a lot of zeal, but then he will come and kill the new convert, or he'll come and say things that because of zeal. We have to look at things on the two sides of the coin. I'm not talking about now a person who come with zeal and knowledge and know how to be able to take the ministry now further. I'm not talking about those individuals. So you may have a lot of zeal, but you have to learn also the character of your pastor, learn the character of the people in that you're leading, and allow yourself to be what God intended for you to be in the ministry and to be able to build the ministry. A pastor, most pastor, if not all, what they don't want is for them to have to be patching up or fixing up after you damage everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be so careful of just say, hey, you come with all this knowledge, and a lot of people come with a lot of knowledge, but knowledge and without the Spirit of God that leading you and say, hey, turn left, turn right. The pastor is the navigator. And oftentimes you'd have gone down a road where he had gotten hurt because he had allowed person with knowledge. But it's not only about knowledge here. It's more than knowledge. And Elder Todd, Bishop Todd, you
Yes.
can speak on
Yes.
that. It's not
Bishop.
all the time. It's about just what you know up here. It's a lot of time is that you have to follow the leading, because you can know the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. That
Yes.
doesn't mean that you're gonna come and change everything in the church.
Right. Right.
This is what's going on. And then your pastor now is afraid at times to say, hey, you know what, I see where I've been down this road already, and let me just watch some more. And then now you feel as if he's trying to backbench you. But we have to be careful of how the two side of the coin is.
Yes.
Personality also play a big role, because your personality may come off too strong, and then people start to talk and talk and talk, and your pastor's like, you know what? Let's just watch it. Let's just watch her.
Yeah, but then what about addressing it, Reverend, rather than let it fester?
That's what
Why
I'm saying.
not put right? Because I think sometimes leaders dumb it down and addressing things, and when we make it fester, that bruise turn into a sore, and now it becomes hard, and the way how we address it can cause more wound. So if we find that, we have the conversation early, and I think that's what we fail to do as leaders. We don't like to address conversation. We talk about somebody. We talk about somebody to somebody without them being present, and of course that don't help me. If you talk to me, talk to Elder Todd about me without me, how does that help me? At some point somebody must say something to me, because the issue is with me, and so that's what I'm saying. We have the conversation.
And you're correct. Can I just say one thing?
Yes, and I want to bring Bishop Todd in.
Yes, you're so correct, Dr. Bryan, because we have to recognize this. If a water stays in a pool or a puddle in a hole for a while, it becomes stagnated.
Yeah.
And so if the conversation is not had, if it's not addressed, things are gonna get really bad. It's gonna smell bad. Even so, if you're in church for a while and things are the same, time for some decision making there. I'll go ahead.
Yes, Bishop.
You know, I'm going to say something that's not very popular in our circles, but I feel confident that I'm going to be biblical. And there's Elder Muir said something that's really powerful, and I think all of us need to understand this: that we all of us, including myself, we all lead out of our experiences, and we all have a measure of hurt and dysfunction and insecurity to some level. Some are less insecure than others, right? But the way the New Testament buffers that, it buffers this, is through collegial leadership. It's through not any one person being the end of all things in a leadership structure. So for example, take Acts chapter 13. The Bible clearly states that there are 5 prophets and teachers in this church. And the Bible says that together they fasted, they prayed, they sought the Lord, and they taught the brethren. And in teaching the people, the Spirit came and said, separate Paul and Barnabas for the work that I've committed them to. So it wasn't left on any one person to determine the destiny of another person. It was collegial. It was men that esteemed, because Paul had issues. Paul had issues. At one point, he didn't want Mark with him. Barnabas had a different level of leadership capacity to say, come with me. I'm going to develop this young man. And he works with him. And then later on, Paul says, send Mark. He's profitable.
Yeah.
So if it was just up to Paul, he would have ruined a young man who had a pretty good future. But thank God that there was a collegial group of men that said, hey, all right, maybe where you're at in your ministry right now, you can't handle this young man. I'll take him. Yes. I'll develop him, and we'll move it, because this is the church. It's not your church. It's the church.
Yes.
So I think what's happened in many of our systems is that we have left the destiny of many people on one person, and that's the pastor. And the pastor has his issues. And if he doesn't like you, or he wants to give it to his son or his daughter or somebody in his family, dog nyam supper, sorry, right? Like you're not going anywhere, right?
That's just the truth.
You're not going anywhere. But if there's a colleague, a quorum of godly men who seek God, know the Lord, and know the will of God, this is what Jonathan could say, hey, Dad, thank you. but it's not my position. God's got this for somebody else, right? And so, gentlemen, I think because our structures are wrong, we see a lot of error and a lot of hurt in the church. A keen look at the New Testament, you will see that it was rarely ever one person who determined the future of other people. It was in the New Testament. It's a little different in the Old Testament.
Yes.
But in the New Testament, we see something different. And I think we're failing in this area. And we need more unified men of God. If it's our officers, it's our elder board, godly men. I have a young man that works with me. And anytime I'm making a leadership decision, I talk to him because I see something, but he might see something different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the leader. I don't mind. I'm the leader. But the wisdom says in the multitude of counsel, there's safety.
Safety. That's right.
Right. My wife has as a church leader has a perspective on character and people. And she might say, it's okay, but let's be mindful. Let's be prayerful. So sometimes leaders just do their own thing and they're destroying and ruining the church because there's no counsel.
Mm-hmm.
There's no check and balance to their own insecurity. I may have I have insecurities. There are things that I'm afraid of. There are things that I may not want to see. And that might block somebody. But if I have somebody beside me saying, yeah, okay, let me walk with them, or we could do this, that might give an opportunity to somebody to have space. And unfortunately, I don't think we do that well in the church. And if we do it well, we'll see greater results, and we'll see people that are low in character, high in gift. We can bring those people up. Because sometimes pastors are just shutting them down because they see low character.
Right.
But those characters need to be developed. And they may not be at the place to develop them, but somebody else in the leadership might be able to bring them up. So if we work together, we can see a lot of benefit. So I just wanted to add that to what Elder Muir was saying, because it's a really important point.
Powerful, sir. Thank you so much. All right. So for the next few minutes, we're going to do some fireside answers, if we'll say that, which means quick answers. We'll do some fireside chat. All right. And I'll just call on different folks, some fireside chats, some fireside questions to get it. Because I'm telling you, Elder Todd, listen, Bishop Todd is so busy, and I'd love to have him back, but I know his schedule. So when I get him, I am grateful and I try to work, him a little bit. So we'll spin it around. Next week is the first Saturday of the month, so we know Bishop was gonna be here with us. So we'll also feed him. Bishop, quickly, and I'll come to Bishop Todd, and then I'll go to Bishop. We're gonna do a roundtable. How do you define, and this is for Bishop Morris, how do you define leadership, and what qualities do you believe are essential for effective leadership? So we talk about leaders, and we talk about, sometimes we're being insecure, and we talk about all of that. But point out to me some qualities that we should be looking for in a leader. Bishop Morris.
Leadership for me is defined as a person who can take somebody from one level to the next level in order for them to manifest or to reach their full potential, or their full potential, right? Something that you should look for in a leader is definitely honesty. One who is one with themselves, one who knows their limitations, right? And maybe I will just stop there so the others can just go ahead and
thank you so much
and go ahead, for we don't have too many time left.
Yes, and I'll say confidentiality. Do not repeat what somebody say to you in confidence. Confidentiality is key, especially when somebody is looking out for the ministry. Point something out to you, because I've been in that position where I'm looking out for the ministry, tap my pastor on the shoulder and said, Rep, this is happening, this come to me, to my knowledge, check it out. And before you know it, the person called me back to say, hey, the pastor told me that you brought this to his attention. So listen, we must be confident in leadership, especially if somebody is not looking to kill the saint, but looking that it don't break. You know what I mean, Bishop? If something is happening in the ministry that we know it can be detrimental to our church or congregation, and I tap you and said, Bishop, you address it. You don't have to, know that I see it, and address this. Don't go back and said, I told you. It festers issues.
Yes.
So we'll say confidentiality is key there. Bishop Todd, what role does mentorship play in developing leaders, and how can we provide adequate support?
Whoa, powerful, powerful. Mentorship is, I think, probably the greatest asset that any human being needs to really develop to become their ultimate and their best self. Because no one person has everything. We all need somebody to walk with us and to pull out our potential. It doesn't matter if you're a great person naturally. You need a mentor to make you greater. If you're not so great, you need a mentor to make you great. Mentorship is critical because it fills in the deficiencies that we all have. Mentorship is important because it allows people in the Johari window. There are things that you don't see about yourself. Mentors are able to see those things, and a mentor doesn't judge you on your mistakes or your lack of potential. A mentor looks at you and says, they see your destiny and potential, but they see the blind spot that you can't see, and they help you through that. So it is absolutely every pastor here, every pastor needs a mentor. Unfortunately, it might not even be your pastor, right?
Wow.
Every business leader needs a mentor. It may not be the CEO in their company, but we need somebody who can tap into you and what's going on in you and help to develop you. So when you go back to what your church or your company or whatever, you're a better version of you.
Powerful, powerful, Bishop. Thank you so much. Elder Pastor Clive, I'm coming to you. How can we encourage young people to embrace leadership roles and develop a growth mindset? So how do we encourage young people to embrace leadership role and develop a growth mindset?
First and foremost, I don't know why I'm not. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing
Yes,
you.
clearly.
Yes.
First thing and foremost is that study your leadership. Get to know your leader. Know the things that he likes from what he doesn't like. Because if you're doing things that he doesn't like, trust me, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to be on the wrong side of them. And then now, you develop. When I came to Canada, I came out from a different organization, as in Pentecostal, but come from out of a UPC. So I come into apostolic. So the way how I do things are, how we were taught and the things that we believe and so forth and so on. I was on a different spectrum, completely. Things used to bother me that wasn't an issue. So then I had to learn over the years to learn how to embrace the views and the thing that pastor has to deal with, and then become, and then through that, I become one of the person that if you come to church on a Tuesday, I'm there. If you come on a Thursday, I'm there. And I'm always in leadership, always, starting service or I'm always doing something, because I've learned how to know who my pastor is. And then through that, I started to develop. I started to get into different ministry. It put me into youth ministry, put me into men's ministry, put me into different areas of ministry. And it now just slowly start to build me and then I start to grow more. So, get to know your pastor, get to know that his likes and his dislikes, because if you think that you know it all, trust me, you'll be silently backbenched.
Yeah, that's what you start with. Thank you, Pastor Clive. Elder Jackie Bogle, it's good to see you, sir. God bless you, Elder Bogle, there from out of Florida. Good morning also to you, Dr. McClement, and to all our listeners near and far. Elder, I'm coming to you, Mayor. How can we encourage young people to? I ask that. What strategies, Rev? Give me a strategy. What strategy can we use to foster sense of purpose and vision in the next generation of leaders? What strategy can we use to foster purpose and vision in the next generation of leaders?
Thank you very much. I believe practical demonstration is very good. And a strategy, of course, fundamentally integrity. Integrity. When we think about a man like Nelson Mandela that spent 27 years in prison, and then he came out and he had to forgive those who imprisoned him. He worked with them. It is something that we want to teach our children, the power of forgiveness. And when you have that, trust me, if you're able to forgive, everything else will come. The vision will come, because you have to have that vision in order to forgive. And then that will come. Everything will come. And of course, you have to be very honest. Honesty is extremely important and integral. And whomever you're leading must see the strength in you. When things get hard, when it gets rough, your integrity must come to the forefront of every decision making. Thank you much.
Oh, powerful, powerful. I'm coming back to you, Bishop Hopeton Morris. I have another one for you. And my question to you, Bishop, is here we go. What skills or knowledge you think are missing from traditional leadership development programs? So, what do we think are missing? Because one of the things that I notice is happening where, Bishop, we're not having much leadership programs, even within our church, that we help to develop leaders, and those who we aspire,
No.
those who aspire to be leaders, or those who are currently in leadership role. We give them a title, an office, a position, and we leave them alone. How do we continue to grow and develop those who are in leadership capacity?
There's more than one that's missing, and the short time where we can deal with that. What I was saying is school is missing. Leadership school, right? There ought to be leadership. If you work in the bank, for you to move from one position to the bank to the next, you will have to go to school with the banking system. Well, you're in the banking system, right? And you will have to pass a test, and then you're ready for promotion. In the church, we don't do that, right? So a lot of people in certain positions who are not qualified for the position that they are in, right? Because they don't know. So best way of developing leaders is it's through seminars, through leadership, and make it compulsory.
They have to be present. That's the thing. They need to be present.
You have to be present, yeah. In the PAW, which I am now, they just make a new law. Is there be no more person who can be appointed as a bishop unless they do a bishop course, and they develop a course for bishops. So nobody, don't care how much you can preach, how much you know, you cannot be one. And I agree with the 100%. We have too many people who are in office who don't know the office, don't understand the office, who have nobody teach them about the office. And so therefore, that's why we are in a lot of the situation that we are in
Very powerful, Bishop, because even as we mentioned, banking system, one of the things that we have to continue to do, there's a continuous learning that we have to keep doing. It's like to maintain, and even when you have a professional designation, to maintain that designation, you have to keep doing stuff. If you're a chartered accountant, to maintain your CPA or a ACCA, you have to continue to do PDUs, PD courses, professional development courses, just to say, hey, I still got it. I am still doing this. And so, of course, your license will not be renewed if they're not seeing this come through. So similarly, in the church, we must take this concept of the word, continue to train, continue to develop, so that everybody under us are continually growing. We don't want anybody to be stagnant. And so we talk about leadership forums, preachers forums, sometimes just within our church. Sometimes the pastor can do it. If you don't have that, pull other pastors. So we create a family, and we pull other pastors who can come in. Don't burn one pastor out. If I pull Pastor Todd, every quarter we do something. If I pull Pastor Todd this quarter, I pull Bishop Morris next quarter. I pull this quarter. And so we continuously grow, and we hear from different leaders. So the pastor also is being poured into, because we invite an external speaker to come and pour into all of us, and we grow together. So these are some. I'll add that also to it. I have about, Pastor, I hope you can give me 5 more minutes. We're going to hurry and make way for Lady Renee, who is coming with the children at the top of the hour at 12. So here we go. So I'll come back to Pastor Todd. Bishop, what skills are, we'll say, how can technology and innovation be leveraged to enhance leadership development and reach a wider audience?
Fantastic. And I think you just made mention of it too, that I think with the advent, but with the increase of technology over the year, like look at over the last couple of years, look at what we're doing now. We're all in different parts of the country. I think there's a tremendous resource of people in the body of Christ internationally that we could be using to leverage the technology for ongoing, training and development, like you just mentioned. But I think it, like Bishop Holton said, there needs to be a priority. I like the move that the PAW has made in that respect. I think it needs to be cascaded to all levels of leadership.
That's right.
That, I'm thinking that we're ordaining far too many people who don't have, like, you wouldn't even go to a doctor that didn't go to school. Right? Like, you wouldn't let somebody cut you open and they didn't go to school. But now we're looking at people at the deepest. Our spirits and our minds are the greatest element of us, and we having people mingle and deal with our minds who haven't disciplined themselves in learning, thinking. And I don't think the Holy Ghost is against learning and thinking and intellectualism and all that. So I think technology, like, there's a resource of people. Like, if you don't have somebody in your back door, right, or in your backyard, rather, there are people in different parts of the world that with a Zoom, Skype, Weebly, whatever it is, could be on a call teaching and running courses. So it's not just the traditional social media stuff. There's global companies have people in Singapore teaching a team in Toronto with people from LA on that one call. And that company, we're a global kingdom. So we should be utilizing these resources far more. And so I think I think technology is a good. It's not the greatest, but it's a excellent resource for us.
Right. And for us to tap into it, that's very powerful, Pastor. I'll come to you.
Can I just say one quick thing here?
Yes.
Bishop Barrington Smith, he often speaks about his experience in COVID. When COVID came, they were ready because he had persons around him who were technologically savvy, and so they put things in place, and they reached so many persons when everyone else was locked down. So we have to embrace technology as well.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And as Pastor Todd said, that we can be training and developing people from all over the place. I manage a large team. I have guys in Singapore, India, and Canada. I've never been to Singapore. I've never been to India, but I have team members that reports to me, and I'm in constant communication with them. We're always talking. We know exactly what's happening, and we're of course winning all the time in terms of we're doing what we are mandated to do within our scope of work. I've never been there. I've never met maybe all of them personally. Then over camera, I've seen one or two faces. So we're saying that just like the world is using these things to tap in, we as a church, we can do that. Tap into these resources, and of course, enhance the kingdom. I'm going to wrap in the next 3 minutes. I'm going to give 2 to Pastor Todd to plug his book and so forth. Coming to you, Pastor Clive, last one. What call of action would you like to leave our listeners with to inspire them to become leaders or support leadership development? The call of action, sir, and we'll go to Pastor Todd to plug the book.
Say it one more time.
What is the call of action would you like to leave with your listeners? Now we're wrapping things. We're calling them up. We're giving them a call of action. What would be the call of action you like to leave with the listeners to inspire them to become leaders and to support leadership development?
First and foremost, I want to say this, that you have to be a lover of soul and see that the ministry needs your support, need your help. The pastors alone can't do it. Shepherd doesn't breed sheep. Sheep bring sheep. There are so many souls are out there that needs your help, and a lot of times, person may have gotten hurt in the past and said, "Oh, I'm not going back into leadership. I'm just on the side burner. I just go to church and I'm just happy clapping and singing." But God have a greater calling on your life, and everything that you've been through is a learning experience. And don't allow that learning experience to cripple what God really intended for you to be and to become. And with that said, God is not done with you. He's just beginning with you. So not because you may get hurt from somebody, not because your talent or your qualification or your ideas you don't know. If David had given up after the first javelin get shot at him, we wouldn't have a story, right? We would have to be able to listen to read some of his psalms. He says, "When my mother and my father forsake me, then the Lord take me up." So it's through the pain is where God birth things in you, and the more you push, is the more God intends the anointing. Without the crushing, there is no anointing. Without the squeezing of the orange, there's no orange juice. Without the crushing of the olive, there's no olive oil. So you've got to know that I'm not called by man. It's not. It's not the pastor called me. It is God first. That's one. Two, I'm not called by God and come to disrespect somebody's ministry. So you have to learn humility. You have to learn humbleness and say, look here, I'm here to serve, and whatever capacity I need to serve, I'll come and serve and do it to the best of my ability. It doesn't matter where you find yourself. Even if you know that you know that you know that you really know that you're not even loved or you're seen as. If you're getting called once a year to say something, man, study for the whole year. Prepare yourself for that time period, for the whole year. And say, oh boy. So when you get called, you know what I mean? You're
Ready.
giving it all your best.
Yes. Thank you so much, Pastor Clive. Bishop Todd will come to you, sir. Tell us what's happening in your church, what's coming up next for you. Plug the book. We'll give you a minute, sir.
Wow. Well, listen, we're really, really excited. If anybody hasn't gotten the first book that I wrote, it's called The Church Made Flesh. You can get that on Amazon. And it's really about how the church corporately can have an impact in the culture and in the world. I'm coming out with a sequel this fall called The Art of the Turnaround. And what's that's dealing with is any individual who just wants to live at the highest level of their personal potential and really serve God, like make an impact, be salt and light. So we're excited about that. I'll give you more details on that book, but it's called The Art of the Turnaround, and it's coming this fall. I would be amiss if I did not invite everyone to our national convocation that's starting on Tuesday. It's part of my church, right? We have one organization, the Bethlehem Family. That's from Tuesday to Sunday, July the 2nd to the 7th at 1 Leswin Road under the leadership of Bishop D.W. Thompson. So that's what's coming up. It's going to be a great, great week. We've got some great speakers. And incidentally, we've got a pastoral leadership track. So we've got 4 training tracks: ministerial ethics, organizational leadership and development and management, and mental health in the ministry. So we're excited about that. And so it's going to be a real great week.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pastor Todd. And I love to forward the book when you're ready. Okay, I'm available.
Yes, sir.
And also, so we're looking forward. And sir, once the book is released, of course, we want to bring you right back here on HEG Radio, and we want to talk through the book. We'll go through chapters and we'll talk about it and get our listeners and of course our co-hosts to buy the book. So co-hosts, get your funds ready. Pastor, I already know that you have 5 sales already, about 4 sales over here. HGG family, when the book is ready, you're guaranteed 5 book sale over here. All
awesome,
right,
man.
so
Thank
you so very much. And of course, coming up in Edmonton, Holy Convocation, Pastor Clive there, and the Higher Ground Tabernacle Ministries in Edmonton, Holy Convocation, July 5th to 7th, under the theme for We Have Not Passed This Way Before. And of course, our speaker, Elder Bonita Grange and Elder Nicholas Chambers. And this will be happening at 3601 118 Avenue, Northwest Edmonton, Alberta. So this is coming up next for Pastor Clive and the HEG family. So of course, mark your date and come and be there rather. So Bishop had mentioned convocation in Toronto, and that will be happening at 1 Leswin Road in Toronto. I'll be there on the weekend. So of course, we're looking forward to seeing you all in convocation. Just also want to plug this real quick, that the Faith House Apostolic Church, Kirky Bless is online. He's been tuning in. This is Kirky Bless Media. And he has a program called Men on the Altar. I was there on Tuesday plugging our program, the Higher Ground Gospel, the Higher Ground, our podcast, Empowerment Podcast. I was on there plugging our podcast. And so we also want to invite other men to join. Men at the Altar. And this happened, of course, every week. This happens every fourth Tuesday of the month. For fourth Tuesdays, this is happening, and you can go to his channel, Kirky Bless Media, on YouTube, and of course, you can support that. That is all going on. Thank you so very much, of course, for joining us on the program. For those if we didn't get your question, please forgive us. We have a lot happening, but you just have to join us another time. And I promise we're going to bring this back. And of course, Bishop Todd will be back again another time for, of course, another program. We'll get on his calendar sometime and we will do it. So thank you so much again, Bishop. Yes, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
We certainly appreciate you. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you to Bishop Alan Todd for sharing your wisdom and insight with us. Thank you to my worthy co-host. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to this very important conversation. Remember, fatherhood is a powerful tool for shaping leaders and empowering a generation and inspiring each of us, or inspiring each other to be the leaders that we need to be. Join us next time on the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast, where we will explore more topics to help you become the leader you're meant to be. Don't forget to subscribe your thoughts with us on our social media platform using the hashtag Ironman Empowerment. Until next time, stay empowered, stay inspired, and keep leading. We love you for listening. Talk to you next time. God bless.
When I am you show me the way to go. You be my needs, you act.
Join us for the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast, where we discuss matters close to the heart. This and every Saturday at 8 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on HGG Radio. I am your host, Dr. Lincoln Bryan, alongside your co-host, Pastor Clive Atkinson, Bishop Hopeton Morris, and Elder Edmund Muir. The Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. We're not just talk, we're informative.
Get ready for the revolution. A revolution is coming to the Hope of Glory Morning Show. 1, 2, 3, Get ready for the pulsating, electrifying, inspiring, and motivating 2 hours of music, word, health, and wealth. Mondays to Fridays from 6 to 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Right here on HGG Radio. Join me, your host, Rashane Douglas, the Christ in me, the Hope of Glory. That's the new time for the Hope of Glory Morning Show. Mondays to Fridays from 6 to 8 a.m. right here on HGG Radio. Visit our website, hggradio.ca, or download the HGG Radio mobile app. See you soon. Do you want a revolution? I say, do you want a revolution? Everywhere he went.
Calling all believers, are you continuing steadfastly in the Apostles' Doctrine? Join us right here on HGG Radio, Mondays to Fridays from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. MST and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. EST for a new and exciting Bible discussion program, The Apostles' Doctrine. Come and hear the word being rightly divided by dynamic preachers and teachers. It's The Apostles' Doctrine, hosted by Minister Tyrone Reed, weekdays from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. MST. Come for the fellowship, stay for cerebral conversations on all things scriptural.
Hey, the Saturday Hub is back online on HGG Radio. Come join me, Auntie Renee, at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central Time, and 12 noon Eastern Time. It's gonna be a great celebration. Children, you don't wanna miss it.
All right, that is it for this morning. I want to thank you for joining us right here on HGG Radio for our Iron Man Empowerment Podcast this morning. I want to tell you, my goodness, what a time we had. We're so grateful to have with us Pastor Alan Todd, and of course our host, Dr. Lincoln Bryan, as usual. Stick and stay with us. Coming up at 10 o'clock local time right here in Edmonton. Please join the children they will be on for the rest of the afternoon. Stick and stay with us right here on HGG Radio. If you have not yet downloaded the mobile app, please go ahead and do so. We'll be pulling things down on the YouTube channel. And of course, you can still listen to us right on your app. All right? And if you have not yet downloaded or subscribed to our channel, go ahead and do so. Share this podcast with somebody. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that this is where it's happening on a Saturday morning. All right? Remember now, have a wonderful weekend on this weekend. And if we haven't hear from you for the rest of the day or the rest of the weekend, have yourself a blessed one. Have a good and godly day.